just being paranoid.
So when we think about Mia Winters, if played both Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village, we see her to be an extremely important catalyst that would propagate the adventures of our main hero Ethan Winters. So now this begs the question, who exactly was Mia? What did she do to pull Ethan into the many horrific ordeals that he had to go through? And what many other secrets did she have that was so important in the timeline for both RE7 and RE Village? So without any further ado, let's go ahead and explain the story of Mia Winters, which we do a quick rundown of her role in Resident Evil 7, explaining her origins and involvement with a mysterious organization called the Connections, and her role of being the caretaker of the bioweapon Eveline, and her subsequent capture by the Baker family. We also explain the important events that Mia was a part of in Resident Evil Village, and how some of the secrets that she kept from Ethan would be one of the biggest revelations we've seen in the character in Resident Evil, and how this could influence the future of the franchise as a whole.
There's nothing wrong with my memory.
Alright, so to begin with, Mia Winters first introduced in Resident Evil 7, who at the time was reportedly missing for a couple of years. This of course would all change once Ethan receives a mysterious message from his supposedly missing wife, prompting Ethan to make his way to DeVuH, Louisiana, starting the events of RE7. Here we follow Ethan as he investigates the now known Baker residence, eventually finding Mia locked up in the basement storage area. Though this reunion would come with a very large twist, because at this point we see a bizarre change with Mia, something that we can only have seen in movies like The Exorcist or The Ring. So with this sudden turn of events, we find ourselves fighting this horrid form of Mia a couple of times inside the Baker residence. That is until we get this scene right here.
Welcome to the family, son.
Also on a quick note, remember this moment right here, because it would shape Ethan's character for the rest of the events in both Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village. But as the story progresses, we find out, like the Baker family, Mia too was infected by the mold strain, explaining her crazy actions early on in this title, with our role as Ethan was to find the serum that would help with the symptoms of this infection, eventually having us giving Mia the cure and head towards the wrecked ship that started the spread of the mold. Because remember I mentioned that Mia had many secrets that would be the catalyst of events that we saw in both RE7 and RE Village? Well, we find out that Mia was actually an agent of the mysterious organization called the Connections, which this company specialized in trying to create bioweapons, similar to what we've seen from the Umbrella Corporation. Well, prior to Mia's disappearance a couple of years back, she was originally part of the group tasked to transport the newly developed E-Type series bioweapon, also known as Eveline.
Does it want to be my daddy? Then he can die. Now it's Mommy's turn to kill you.
This bioweapon was the amalgamation of using the mold strain and combining it with a human embryo at the early stages of development, resulting in a childlike BOW, which was made on purpose because the direction that they wanted to take with this BOW like Eveline was to infiltrate behind enemy lines. Using an innocent looking young girl would be the perfect disguise for a bioweapon. Mia's part, on the other hand, would be the supposed caretaker of Eveline, which would result in the bioweapon's attachment to her and deeming her part of her family. Well, during her mission of transporting Eveline on the Annabelle ship, a hurricane would devastate the liner, causing mass panic and the eventual release of Eveline and the mold strain, resulting in the infection of the ship's crew and the eventual explosion that would cast Mia off board, leading her to be discovered by the Baker family and taken in to be cared for. though with many repercussions. The Baker family would also house Eveline, thinking that she was an innocent who was also a victim from the shipwreckage of the hurricane, explaining the contact of the Baker family to the mole strain and their subsequent antagonistic role in Resident Evil 7. Well, Mia at this point would be held captive. That is until, like I mentioned earlier, she is finally released by Ethan. But by the end of the game, Mia would receive the serum from Ethan that would help her with the mole strain that infected her body. Eventually, the two would be saved after defeating Eveline and have their first contact with Chris Redfield, ending our journey in Resident Evil 7.
I'm Redfield. I'm glad we found you.
The fuck took you guys so long?
Ethan?
Mia. You made it. I'm glad.
Did I?
They say that when one door closes, another opens. Well, a door closed tonight. And what a long night it was. But not just for me. Mia and I weren't the only victims here. So were the Bakers. It was that thing, Eveline, who made them that way. But now Eveline's dead. And these guys are here to clean up the mess. I had just come to terms with losing Mia. But now she's back and wants to start over. Put all this behind us. Maybe this is where the next door opens.
So in the end, the key notes that we've learned from Mia in this game was that she was part of the Connections, where she was very much involved with the creation of the bioweapon Eveline, while also she was married to Ethan prior to the tanker incident that would lead Mia to be rescued by the Baker family. She was also infected by the mold and was heavily influenced by Eveline, showing signs of infection and explaining her crazy antics at the start of the game. She would also receive the serum from Ethan and eventually be saved by Chris Redfield. So with these key notes summarized, it perfectly sets up the events in Resident Evil Village, because 3 years after the Baker incident in Louisiana, both Mia and Ethan would be relocated to Europe with the help of Chris Redfield and the BSAA. This is an important factor due to the upcoming events that would propagate the start of Resident Evil Village. While also within those 3 quiet years after RE7, Mia and Ethan would have a baby named Rose. So one would think this would be the picturesque happy ending that the couple would have after what they just went through. Well, through some flashbacks, we learned that their marriage did have some bumps in the road, with Mia constantly wanting to forget the events at the Baker residence.
There's nothing wrong with my memory.
But Ethan, on the other hand, still very much cautious and reflecting on what ensued during that time.
Hey, Doc.
Hello, Mr. Winters. I've got your daughter's results back, and I'd like you to come in to talk about them. How about next Thursday, 4 o'clock?
No problem. We'll be there. That was the doc. She'll see us next week. Hey now, think positively, all right? We talked about this.
I know. We hardly talk about anything else. I keep telling you, it's not Rose that I'm worried about.
Well then what are you worried about? Look, she's gonna be fine. I just know it. What else matters?
We matter, Ethan! You matter! You just
Mia, what are you talking about? Is there something you're not telling me?
Also, sometime after baby Rose was born, through a file found inside their home, we find out that the BSAA has retrieved some sample tests to assess for any fungal strain that Rose may have had due to the past infection that Mia had. Meanwhile, Mia has also kept a very important secret from Ethan, which this important detail would be expounded upon at the latter half of Resident Evil Village.
Is there something you're not telling me?
Though this would be a key feature that could set up the story for future Resident Evil games. Anyways, at the start of RE Village, a sudden ambush would happen, supposedly leaving Mia killed by Chris Redfield, prompting so many questions as to why the sudden attack, especially since he has been involved with helping the Winters family all these past 3 years. Well, after the abduction of Rose and Ethan finding himself at the village, where he had to fight the 4 lords of the region and Mother Miranda, we get a chance to play as Chris Redfield, where we find Mia alive and kicking inside Mother Miranda's secret lab.
Show me your hands! I'm Bryce, this is Alpha. Where is Miranda right now?
Still at the ceremony site. Whatever she's doing, she's staying put.
God damn. It really is you. I'm glad you're safe, Mia. Why are you here?
I was caught in Houston experiments.
Wait, did you say Mia? Mia Winters?
In the flesh.
This revelation happens due to the exposition from Chris, explaining that Mia, prior to the ambush at the start of the game, was kidnapped by Mother Miranda and imprisoned at the village. All the while, Mother Miranda would shapeshift into Mia and live within the Winters residence, without Ethan figuring out that she was an imposter. This was all due to the powers of the Megamycete that Mother Miranda acquired many decades prior, allowing her to take any form she likes. And the motive behind taking Mia was to eventually kidnap Rose, because we learned that she is deemed special by Mother Miranda, stating that Rose is Eveline's true and complete form.
Remember Eveline and her power over them all? Rose is her successor. No, Rose is Eveline's true, complete form. She will grow to fully control the masses. And I must have her.
Fuck you, you crazy bitch!
But how is this possible, you might ask? As we saw from Resident Evil 7, Mia already was given the serum by Ethan, and Eveline was already destroyed at the end of the game. So how exactly does this affect Rose? Well, remember I mentioned that Mia has kept a very important secret from Ethan this whole time after RE7?
Is there something you're not telling me?
Well, when talking to Chris, and with this flashback here, a huge revelation was given to us, revealing that this whole time, both in Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village, that Ethan was killed by Jack Baker.
I tried to keep this a secret, but you don't understand how special he is.
What's going on? Someone there? It's cold. How did I get here? God, it's freezing. This shit in my body.
You're so dumb.
Eveline? How are you here?
You're dead.
Dead? I mean, Miranda. She... No. I still have to save Rose.
Wrong! It wasn't Miranda. You were always dead.
What are you saying? I can still...
See? Miranda didn't kill you. You mean you didn't think it was weird? No matter how much you got hurt? Remember. "3 years ago, the Baker house. You were murdered by Jack. You died there 3 years ago."
That's impossible. No way.
You shouldn't even be able to walk around.
Quit messing with my head.
You shouldn't be walking.
Screw you! What am I? I did all that. Rose. Mia.
Now do you get it? Your whole body is nothing but mold. You can't ever see your family again.
Family. No. Rose. I have to save my daughter.
You're already dead. Dead!
I will save Rose!
This big reveal explains why Ethan was always able to recover from his injuries and prompting the importance of Rose, because at this time, Rose was born while Ethan was a full-blown mold being, though without his knowledge. Mia on the other hand knew about this, stating that Ethan was special. Well, in summary, by the end of Resident Evil Village, we learned that Ethan would survive after supposedly being killed by Mother Miranda, but would opt to stay behind to detonate the bomb implanted on the Megamycete, allowing for the escape of Chris, Mia, and Rose. So the important notes to take from this game, Mia knew this whole time that Ethan was infected by the mold, but still decided to have a baby with him, bringing up the questions on how this would affect Rose, and what future power she would have due to her being known as Eveline's true form by Mother Miranda. Also, speaking of Mother Miranda, here we find a lot of information in regards to Eveline and the mold strain inside of her secret lab, where we find files explaining how she gave a sample of the mold to the Connections. We even find a photograph of the Connections research team, which included Eveline, Mother Miranda, and Mia. So this whole time, Mia, while working for the Connections, knew about Mother Miranda prior to the events of RE7, all the while trying to be the supposed caretaker of Eveline. It just goes to show that all of Mia's secret dealings in the background has definitely come to light, resulting in many catastrophic events that happened to Ethan in both RE7 and in RE Village. Anyways, what do you guys think about Mia Winters and her role in both Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village? Also, could she also be seen as a pseudo-villain of the series, especially after everything we've learned from her and all of her secrets? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, if you guys enjoyed the content, then please feel free to like and subscribe for more Resident Evil videos in the future. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you guys have a great rest of your day, and this is Hey DeVuH, and I'll see you guys on the next video.
You're just being paranoid.